Hi, I'm Celeste Rosetto-Dickey. Today we're going to take you through the School-Wide Team Fidelity Inventory, or the TFI for short. You've probably heard about this survey. It's one of the surveys teams take to measure fidelity of implementation at all three tiers of support. We know lots of schools relied on surveys like the TIC or the BOQ, and transitioning away from those surveys can be tricky when the process feels unknown or complicated. We wanted to take a minute to show you how it can look to take the TFI as a team, give you some tips for making the process move as efficiently as possible, and take away the mystery about completing this survey. Completing the TFI is basically a conversation facilitated by a coach. Now, some of you may not have a coach to help you with this, and that's okay. But the coach is really someone who has access to a data system for entering the TFI scores, is good at facilitating conversation, can bring the necessary documentation to the meeting or at least make it available electronically, knows how to work through disagreements to help your group come to consensus. Instead of a coach, this could be your team lead. Whoever it is, make sure you identify someone to help you work through the survey. Are you ready to get started?
The Tier 1 team is gathered together to complete the TFI. No one is missing today. Every team member is here and ready to take the survey. Watch how the meeting begins. Notice all the ways they've prepared ahead of time to make the meeting more efficient.
Okay, we're all here for our meeting, so let's go ahead and get started, everybody. This afternoon, we're taking the TFI for just the Tier 1 sections. Does everyone have a copy of their TFI walkthrough results? Awesome. I have extras if you need them, so just let me know. The last meeting, you'll remember, we talked about reviewing that survey on our own and then coming to this one with our own ideas for our responses.
This pre-meeting work makes it so everyone has plenty of time to check the documentation or clarify whatever they need to know to get their answer. This meeting helps us stay focused on our scores and talking through disagreements rather than asking clarifying questions.
Anyone need an extra copy before we move on? Okay. Coach, did you have anything to add before we get started?
Yeah, thank you, Danielle. I was just going to remind everybody, we've done this before. We did last year in the fall, and I just want to remind everybody about the process. We'll take turns reading the item, read it all the way through, and then we'll count 1, 2, 3, and then on 3 we'll raise the score that we came to an agreement on, or that we decided on before we came to this meeting. If we all agree on the same, all get the same number, then we'll move on to the next item. But if we're all over the place, if we have 0s or 2s and 1s all over, we'll take some time to discuss the item, and then we'll come to a decision on what that score should be for that item.
The team has a process for voting. The way you do this with your team might look different. No matter what you do, be sure this is a group discussion. Don't complete the scoring individually and turn them into someone after. Put the work in up front, then get together and talk about it as a team.
Okay, everybody understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right, remember, we're not doing action planning today. We'll save that for the next meeting. We'll take our scores and use the scores that we get to guide our action planning later.
Sounds good. Now, will we be able to review the reports before we meet to do our action planning?
That's a good question, Rhonda. So we are going to enter the scores online during this meeting, and we can watch it happen right up there on the screen. And I set everyone up to access their reports, so you can do that anytime after we're finished here today. And if you need help or questions about how to do that, let me know and I can help you do that. Okay? Okay, so should we get started? I think we're all logged in, ready. So you'll see up on the board the TFI, and like Bert said, we'll read the item and then count to 3 like this. 1, 2, 3, vote. Everyone will hold up the score in their hands just like we did last fall. All right, so the first item we're looking at here is team composition. Let's take a minute, look over how you scored that question. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, vote. Well, that's pretty clear. We're in agreement. We all gave it 2s. I agree. A 2 on that. And I'm proud of us. We worked really hard this year to be sure everyone has representation in our building. And big kudos to Megan here for your work representing our families in the building. Thank you. Sure. Awesome.
And to Tristan as a student.
Yes, we've also got a student on board this year. That's wonderful to have your voice.
In this next section, the team keeps moving through the survey one item at a time. The team lead guides them through discussion as needed, keeping everything moving as efficiently as possible. Notice how the TFI walkthrough comes into play and what happens when there's a split vote.
Okay, so the second item is the team operating procedures. Okay, so are you ready? 1, 2, 3, vote. Okay, I see a lot of ones. Jessica, tell us more about your vote.
I voted a 2 because I thought we had an action plan, don't we? That's why I gave it a 2.
I think we have one, but have we looked at it recently?
Yeah, we have an action plan, but it's pretty old. I don't think we've looked at it since September. So we've been working through it, but we really haven't updated it throughout the year.
Notice how the discussion focuses on the minor nuance to the question and describing why that matters in the context for this team.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'm okay with the 1. I'm okay with the 1 for that item.
Yeah, I think it should be 1.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So let's enter a 1.
All right, so my turn next then? Okay, behavioral expectations. So looking at the TFI walkthrough, it says that 95% of our staff knew at least 2 of the expectations. So are we ready to vote on that one? Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, vote. Oh, we're in agreement, all 2. That's easy.
Okay, so the next item is the problem behavior definitions. Are we all ready to vote on that? Mm-hmm. Okay. 1, 2, 3, vote. Ooh, so we're kind of split on that.
I mean, we developed these. We worked on these, right? They're in our handbook. We trained everyone on it. I mean, shouldn't that be a 2?
Yeah, I never saw them though. So did they get shared with families? Because it says right here that in order to score a 2, that the definitions have to be shared with families too.
Yeah, so our definitions are documented. We included them in the staff handbook and trained all the staff members. I'm wondering if we forgot about the family handbook. I actually have it right here. I'm looking, but I don't see them. We might have forgot about putting them in the family handbook.
May I take a look?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, they're not in here, huh? Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do a revote. Okay, 1, 2, 3, vote. All right, we're all at a 1, so I'll go ahead and enter a 1.
In this last part of the meeting, some team members need more information before they cast their votes. Watch how others chime in to give everyone the background they need in order to feel confident about the score.
So on to classroom procedures. Folks ready to vote?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
1, 2, 3, vote. Ooh, so I see a couple of folks didn't vote. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I actually didn't know how to answer this question. So.
Totally. They teach us about PBIS in class, but I actually have no idea what a formal system is.
Well, so in our staff handbook, we actually have a whole section related to classroom systems, and it's got a teaching schedule in there. So when I do walkthroughs on a daily basis, teachers are actually doing the teaching expectations and using those minutes to teach the expectations regularly.
Okay, gotcha. I could give that a 2.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Okay, so our consensus vote is 2.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so the last item is the annual evaluation.
Before we vote, did anyone else not understand this one?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification before voting. If you aren't sure what something is, ask around. It could be there's more than one person in the room with the same question.
This question tripped us up a lot in the fall too. We scored a 0 back then. It just seems complicated.
So the annual evaluation is a short document, should be 1 to 2, 3 pages long, that's shared with everybody, staff and students and family, the board, and we can get, it would look something like this where we have information that would be shared about our current TFI scores, how we're doing in attendance and some things like that, and our plans, our action plan for what we're doing about where we are right now. We don't have it, it's something that we could have.
Yeah, I think we have all this. We just haven't shared it.
Totally. I know we've never seen it as in our parent group. We've never seen something like this, but I think it's something we could definitely do in our next newsletter.
I really like the sound of that. Does anybody want to do a small group to focus on that for our next.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, Cody,
And
maybe
it-
you have access to some of that.
Well,
data,
and Megan,
right?
you also
All right,
have ideas.
yeah, that's a great idea. I think we should do that, but let's bring us back and maybe bring those up in the action planning meeting and save it for that. I can add it to the notes and we can talk about it then.
Okay.
Okay.
It's so easy to start thinking about ideas for improving your systems. As you go through the TFI, chances are you'll find yourself wandering down those paths. Do your best to recognize when that happens and remind yourselves of the purpose of the meeting. This team agreed to complete their action planning after taking the TFI. The team lead is good to gently remind the group of their agreement, keep the idea for the upcoming meeting, and redirect everyone back to their original task.
Does everyone feel like they're ready to vote on this item?
Yeah.
The team will work through the remaining questions just like this, and at the end of the meeting, all the scores have been saved in the data system. The next step is to complete an action plan based on those scores. Before leaving the room, be sure you have a date, time, and location for the action planning meeting, and a way for all team members to review the TFI items report ahead of time. Each team member should have plenty of time to review the report and choose their top 3 items to discuss. Well, that's it. Our goal for today was to show you what it's like to take the TFI. It's not too hard. It just takes a little planning ahead of time. And remember, this truly is a conversation guided by a series of questions aimed at finding consensus. That conversation works best when someone is identified as the facilitator. If you don't have a coach, find someone else who would be good in that role. Taking the survey and action planning are 2 separate meetings, so when you find yourselves drifting into solving problems, write down the idea and save it for the action planning meeting. Stick to one thing at a time. Take the time to prepare in advance, ask your questions, review your materials, score the items individually. Come to the meeting ready to dive in. Good luck taking the TFI. You can do this.